call the meeting of the Granite Falls City Council to order. Any agenda additions from staff? We do have one, I believe.
Yep, just a gambling permit for Western Fest that needs to be acknowledged under 7D.
7D, okay. Anything else from staff?
No.
Okay. Any agenda additions from council? Okay. Then we'll look to approve the consent agenda as written.
So moved.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. Can we just drop down and take Shane right away here?
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Shane, welcome. Come on up. Well, Shane's here from talk about Coalition of Greater Minnesota Cities.
Yes. Am I on here? Do I need to do anything? I think you can hear me.
I think you're good.
We're good.
All right, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. My name is Shane Zart with the firm Clarity and Hood. And here to talk about two organizations. We're being efficient here, so we've got the Coalition of Greater Minnesota Cities update, but then also a Coalition of Utility Cities update. So both of these are membership organizations that the city belongs to. Both represent different interests of the cities at the legislature. And we've been thrilled to work with the city for a long, long time on both of them. And we'll get into a few of the updates. I know we've got some newer council members too, so some of it may be new. Some of this, some of you have heard this spiel, I don't know how many times, these versions of it. But at least in the materials I sent to Crystal in advance, we'll start with the Coalition of Utility Cities and kind of run through that, and then we'll pause for questions along the way and get into the Coalition of Greater Minnesota Cities too. So there's, like I said, there's two different organizations. They're both coalitions, as you can tell from the names. As I repeat myself, sound like a broken record saying the word coalition over and over again. Really the only common thread, or what brings me here with both of them, is that our firm has been pleased to work with both of these organizations for decades in both cases. So the Coalition of Greater Minnesota Cities, Clarity and Hood, has represented at the Capitol for our entire existence. So the firm was founded in 1992. CGMC Coalition existed before that, but the whole time that our firm has existed, we represented the Coalition of Greater Minnesota Cities, and then the Coalition of Utility Cities was created in 1998, and we've represented that organization the entire time, and been proud to work with the city of Granite Falls. I think probably as a founding member back then, and continuing through to the present day here. So we'll get into my slides, and I'll apologize to Crystal and the team first. Since we submitted these, and you think about doing them digitally, and I know we were going to print every single one of them, I would have done fewer title slides. Just take up a page on their own. But open it up. I already ran through some of this, but first is just an introduction of me. Who am I? I'm an attorney and lobbyist with Clarity and Hood. We're located in St. Paul, right across from the Capitol. Our offices are just straight across the street from the Senate building, because that's where we have to be in order to do our jobs and influence legislation and state government on your behalf. But our bread and butter, the folks that we work with, are local governments, largely cities, nearly exclusively outside of the 7-county metro area. So Greater Minnesota and carrying Greater Minnesota voices, or the voices of Greater Minnesota cities in particular, has been our bread and butter since our firm was founded. I've been with the firm since 2016 and have worked with the Coalition of Utility Cities that entire time, and helped design some of the pieces of legislation that we'll be talking about today that are in effect, that we've had the benefit of the city of Granite Falls being able to participate in the past few years, so we'll touch on some of those. But the Coalition of Utility Cities, kind of an odd name, I think, because what is a utility city? So that's the next slide. So what is the Coalition of Utility Cities? Because I think too, what comes to mind is, there's a lot of cities that operate a municipal utility. There's any number of ways you could look at this. So I can't speak to the wisdom of how it was named in 1998, but when you'll hear us in the case of some of them have retired, including the one here, large investor-owned power plants. So of the 7 cities, 5 of those plants are owned and operated by Xcel. 2 are owned and operated by Minnesota Power up in the northeast corner of the state, including here in Granite Falls, the old NSP plant that now was knocked down just, well, now it's going on 3-4 years ago, I guess, that actually came down. But the reason that this group came together in the 90s was no secret, I guess, in the case of Xcel Energy, but any utility company. They have plenty of lobbyists themselves at the Capitol. At the time, in the 90s, were lobbying very hard for more favorable tax treatment of how some of their assets were valued. And I don't have to get very far down the line since we're just removed from budget season before all of you realize, well, wait a minute, if the plants that sit in our communities are paying less, that means everybody else in our community might be paying more for their ships that impact our state budget or our other property taxpayers. So back then in 1998, it wasn't the exact same lineup of cities, but most of them got together and said, we need to have a voice in these conversations. Let's form a group, get a coalition together where we can be in the tax committees. All 7 of us are speaking together when the companies come and ask for things, that we can be there saying that here's how that impacts us and our taxpayers. So that's I think the big background on the coalition utility cities. And this is where the presentation does quite a bit of a fast forward. As you kind of heard, we weren't founded to talk about what happens when these plants go away. We were founded to talk about what happens while they're here. And there's year-to-year fluctuations in tax base, or maybe there's a policy change at the state that makes a big tax base impact. But not that long ago, I think in the case especially of our the coal plants that some of our communities host, Granite Falls has always kind of been on the front end of some of this discussion, as Crystal is always happy to be a guinea pig in some of this through her tenure with the city. We entered a new reality where, especially for those coal plants, many of them got retirement dates put to them, and a lot of those retirement dates were much earlier than maybe the end of license on that plant or what folks thought it might retire. Granite Falls was a unique situation where the plant hadn't actually operated for quite a while, but because of its tax treatment, in the eyes of the Department of Revenue, a lot of that operating equipment out there was still on the tax roll, still being valued and assessed as if it could someday be switched back on, just until a couple of years before they actually knocked it down. So it's still a big, big part of the city's tax base. It still is. Even the substation infrastructure and that's left behind there still has a big impact on the city's tax base. So we kind of approached this and said, well, what do we need to do when a power plant goes away? None of us had ever gone through this before, whether it be us at kind of the staff and consultant level or city staff, city councils and mayors. So put a lot of heads together, and at least what we've been able to concoct so far with our partners in the legislature and in state government is where this kind of this tortured analogy of the 3-legged stool comes into play. So you'll kind of see, it's not the world's best graphic for a presentation, but what we've got is a stool. Each of the legs has kind of a different purpose. One of them, and they each, I should say, have a direct correlation in a program we've been able to create in legislation. So when we talk about economic development resources, that's one of the legs of the stool. We want these communities to have resources, be treated as special, frankly, have more resources available to you since you have this urgent need. That's where the Community Energy Transition Grant Program was one of the programs that was created there to help put some resources out specifically to our cities. Direct tax-based support, that's the electric generation transition aid, which is when a plant goes away or when you feel that disruption of the plant retired or officially came off the tax rolls, some state aid to help fill in the gap, and we'll touch on that in Granite Falls' case here in a second. And then coordinated and ongoing support across levels of government. That's where we were able to create model on what some other states were doing. An Office of Energy Transition housed within DEED, so the state's Department of Employment and Economic Development, and along with that an advisory committee that a few of our local governments representatives sit on. I've sat on for a couple of years on behalf of the coalition utility cities that helps advise that group, make sure that they're continuing to make resources available to our communities that can be an accessible resource. That was designed, originally passed, the legislation to create it passed in 2020. We've been able to fund it twice, once at about 2 million and once at about 10 million. And I guess the good news is that in both of those instances, Granite Falls was able to get a chunk of that money. So back in 2022, and this says fiscal year 2022, that's the state's fiscal year. I can't remember, Bristol, it might have actually been 21, calendar year 21, so don't take that as gospel. But fiscal year 2022, almost 398,000 for industrial park and land acquisition, sewer and water. Fiscal year 2024, $750,000 for industrial park water main project. This program was kind of intended to be very flexible. It's pretty broad in what its uses can be. And the point of that was to try to meet communities where they are. So we've had some of the communities who are a little further off from plant retirement use it for more of a long-range planning and some of the things that will help them, feed into future economic development. Where we've had cities like Granite Falls or some of the other coal communities, City of Becker comes to mind, that have said, you know what, this is happening to us now or tomorrow. We need something that's going to help us implement projects. So, Crystal, you know these way more than I do. My understanding of each of these projects was in order to enable future development on those sites. So, what can we do to help defray some of the costs of the public infrastructure so that, future businesses, future, tax base creating entities can come in, fill in some of those spots, ultimately diversify our property tax base going forward. So and get some state assets in the mix so that you don't have to shoulder the cost of that. On the electric generation transition aid side, that's where I said that when that's the state aid that's meant to just catch you when you fall. So when you feel the impact of that that retirement of that plant, you get some state aid to fill in that gap. We were able to work pretty hard when this was passing because the nuance in Granite Falls' case is that you had to weather the storm on your own for a year or two. I can't remember how many. The plant over there came off the tax rolls a year or two before we were able to pass this. So this legislation passed in 2023, but we were able to work pretty hard with the legislature to make sure that we had kind of a look-back window. So if the plant had retired within a certain time frame, but we could measure that your tax base was still impacted by it, some aid would kick in. So that's where I think these numbers or these years are right, Crystal.
Yes.
I can't remember if those are calendar years or the state's fiscal year.
Nope, that looks right.
You'll drive yourself crazy trying to keep straight the state's fiscal year and the real year, but they list things this way, so sometimes I have to. But 2024, $135,777, and then it kind of scales down from there. So eventually these numbers will get pretty small, but the way that the program is designed to work is to help get you some aid in that first year of impact, or at least the first year of the program's creation here, and send you some aid that phases down over time, maximum of 20 years. So it's a really long walk down, and we'll with some caveats, but we'll touch on that in a second. Crystal knows where I'm going. And then the final one is that the city, I think, has had some good luck with ongoing support and engagement with Dean through the office of energy transition, including, I know some of those meetings, I think you hosted right here. I sat, I can't remember, maybe in Brad's seat. Council member meeting. But they hosted us all, and we did some of the meetings here where state staff came out and sat here in the chambers and had one of those statewide meetings here. And but I think they've struggled too, where in the recent fluctuations of the state's budget, 2023 they're flush with resources. It's going to continue through 2024. State's budgetary picture is not that rosy these days. So they've had to adjust some of their staffing and that. So I think we still stay in touch with them. But we're always interested in feedback too. I know they are. If you're not getting the support that you want for that, we want to hear that too, so we can work with it. So goals for 2026. So some of these are still very active concerns. Electric generation transition aid needs some upkeep. And this is where I said, where I was going, where there are some caveats to that 20-year phase down. But I think the quickest way to put this without getting too far in the weeds is that there's some click-off thresholds in there where the legislature put in along the way. This was their wisdom, not mine. They put in some things that said, well, if your tax base recovers to a certain point, you shouldn't get aid forever. And that should click off at some point. And that makes sense conceptually. You can see how they want to protect public dollars and put in place a mechanism. It's just that how they did that calculation some of the other cities confront with new plant retirements start to confront and come onto that algorithm, is cutting some cities off prematurely in our calculation. So you might only recover to 90% of what you were the year before retirement in terms of net tax capacity, and your aid clicks off. And that's, I think, a flaw in the underlying statute as the legislature was kind of finalizing things, creating the program. Had to make some just judgment calls on how to plug in some of the equations that undergird the program. But, you know, we don't want that to happen to Granite Falls either. You guys are subject to that same calculation. Right now, what our spreadsheets say is that I think you're fine. But that may or may not be the case forever. So that is something we want to work with the legislature on, that we're having a conversation with tax committee members about is aid, if the formula judges that you're still getting aid, that's because you still deserve it. So limiting those thresholds at the right level still means your tax capacity is measurably impacted from that retirement, even though it happened a few years ago. So we want to work with them on that. The Community Energy Transition Grant Program, or the acronym in there, CET grant program, is depleted. So I mentioned that Granite Falls got 2 of those grants. It was funded twice, $12 million total in state dollars in the program's history. Those funds are now depleted. The 2025 legislature did consider a couple bills to fund it, and we had bipartisan support on those, but the state didn't have a lot of money to throw around. It wasn't like 2023 with a big surplus. They made some different decisions. They had to cut back on a lot of deed programs this year. And then I put a final bullet in there, monitor and push back on threats to host community tax base. And I made a reference there that to a 2024-25 Department of Revenue effort to overhaul utility taxation. You know, that's slowed down, but it's still lingering. And what that was that in the January of 2024, the Department of Revenue kind of surprised us all by rolling out a concept I guess they've been working on behind the scenes for a while. Says, what if we undid the last 15, 20 years of how we've been valuing and assessing power plants and replaced them with a brand new system based on a company's gross operating revenues and all these complicated calculations. And doesn't that sound great? And they asked everyone if that was a great idea just a month or two before a legislative session. So here we thought they had some big new proposal they were going to be throwing out into the legislature. I think that cities like Granite Falls and some of our partners in some of the counties, I would say, threw a fit. It's a good way to put it, because you know what, you know, I don't think that we would say we're in love with the current way that you know, plants are valued and assessed. There's still year-to-year fluctuations, and Xcel Energy appeals its valuation, and sometimes that can cause you know, fluctuations for you guys even into budget season, where they might settle Department of Revenue on an appeal in September when you're in budget season. All that still happens, but what we were throwing here was a lot of question marks and not a lot of answers on what it would mean for us. And at least for some of the communities we have analyzed, it'd be a pretty significant hit to your tax base. So a lot more conversation needs to be happening before something moves forward there. We're not saying never, we're just saying with that particular idea, not enough information present. But that has really been put on the back burner, and I think the Department of Revenue has taken a posture of public engagement rather than pushing ideas here for the last year or so. So I think that's where it should be, but you know, something to be aware of. And I think as a community too, as you get further and further away from that plant having retired, I mean, I think this would be even just from the identity of the community. Are we still a power plant host community? The thing doesn't sit there anymore. And at some point, some of these programs will kind of dwindle in relevance to a city like Granite Falls. The longer and longer we go on with the plant having not operating. But I think right now where we sit is, you know, some of that lingering impact and some of the even legacy infrastructure, the substation, that still a significant part of your tax base, and some of these threats are still out there. So that's at least my 2 cents. But I think all that's there is a thank you page. And then we can pause here. I might talk a lot. And then we can move on to the CGMC, and I can try to be faster on that one, so you guys aren't getting all me. But any questions? I know that stuff gets complex real fast. So I love talking about it, but I know I can get long.
Yeah. Very good job in a short time.
Well, then I'll take that. cities. So moving on, the cover page of this one, Granite Falls City Visit looks like this. And again, that one, just some ink on the page for you. We'll open up. The first one is just kind of a reminder, I think, for most folks if you've been around for a while, but I think it's also always helpful to see the CGMC is more than 100 cities across the state working together on usually 5 key issues at the legislature, with a 6th that we try to provide a lot of information and support to our members on. But local government aid and property taxes. Sometimes we just say the wide world of taxes under that umbrella, but LGA is such a big priority, and just more generally the property tax burden that our communities, again, out of budget season, it's top of mind. The property tax burden that's on your residents. LGA is a major tool for every one of our communities who look to responsibly manage your city budgets and do what you have to do, but keep that burden off your taxpayers as much as possible. We'll get back to LGA, trust me. Environment and energy. Environment sometimes is maybe less intuitively. It also includes a lot of discussion on water and wastewater infrastructure, both from the regulatory side, but especially from the funding side, as we talk about things like bonding bills and that, kind of a broad umbrella. Economic development has kind of expanded to include everything from housing to childcare to all these things that I think, 10 years ago, we may not have even been working on. But, as we more and more work with our communities on what are the things that either drive development in your community or hold back development in your community. Sometimes it's availability of housing, sometimes childcare, sometimes it's, workforce, and so there's broad umbrella of programs that we've supported over the years, some that we've created over the years to help greater Minnesota communities in particular work on those issues. Transportation, a little more intuitive, but what we're working on there, it is roads and bridges, that type of thing. But I've fought some battles over the years, I think especially for communities like Granite Falls, where, for the longest time, we don't have to remind you that cities under 5,000 haven't always gotten consistent street funding or support for your streets from the state. Now, there's at least some money flowing your way every year. Could be more, could phase in a little faster. It's always kind of teeters on the edge. It's not constitutionally dedicated. When the state budget catches a cold, it's one of the things, or when the state budget sneezes, the city budgets can catch a cold, that type of thing. That's one of the things we're always monitoring. Annexation and land use is an area sometimes we're hopeful not to be active in. But it's a very important one for the development of our cities and your relationship to the communities around you. And then labor and employment is the one I mentioned where, it's sometimes at the legislature, but more often what the labor and employment team at CGMC is able to do is provide a lot of information, resources, and support to city staff and mayors and councils as either you deal with labor and employment issues or new things confront cities like paid family medical leave or sick and safe time, and how do we, cities as employers, comply with those, with their advice or their best practices that we're hearing from other cities. So they do a lot of webinars, a lot of information sharing, and make resources available to our cities as well. So that's the broad overview, and I took a little longer there than I sometimes do because I think we've got some newer folks. So we'll move on though. I want to touch very briefly on legislative recap from last year, because it feels like a long time ago, but we're on the verge of another legislative session here too. So we'll move ahead to past the legislative recap title page. 2025 key legislative outcomes is where we'll pause here for a second. The first one, and then there's a whole lot that goes on in a legislative session, a ton that impacts cities. So I really only pulled out 2 or 3 that I think are huge for us. And the first one was protecting LGA from proposed cuts. Some of you may know, or some of you might have even seen our action alerts or something, the red alert, contact your legislators, tell them, don't cut LGA. Through the state's budget process, as we mentioned, we're in a very uncertain budgetary picture for the state today. We were last session as well. Through the state budgeting process, it was a proposal in the Senate DFL's tax bill that would have cut LGA by $20 million first LGA cut that we'd seen proposed in more than a decade. We didn't even see one during the period of, during the COVID pandemic, when the state had no money and before some of the federal packages had kicked in to support state government in that. Even then, they held LGA harmless. But so this, I think, was concerning, dismaying, whatever you want to call it. Granite Falls, I looked up the numbers here before coming out in there. So for Granite Falls, that LGA reduction would have been about $28,970 per year, or a reduction of 2.3% in your total LGA allocation. So you might look at that and say, well, that's not the biggest number in the world, but I don't know, Crystal, if you want to, when you adjust
Makes
your
an
levy to
impact.
make up for that, you don't want to do that. And so, you know, it's an every year impact when it comes to LGA. So that compounds, that's not just, you know, roughly $29,000 this year, that's next year and ongoing. And that LGA out appropriation is fixed in statute. It doesn't change unless they cross it out and change it. So the number they give you is what you're stuck with for a while, some formula fluctuations in between. So LGA will continue to be a discussion this year. State budget picture doesn't look any different. They know where we stand loud and clear. So we'll fight tooth and nail to protect it, but we'll touch on that, I think, a little bit before we're done here. The bonding bill was passed with funding for key Greater Minnesota programs. We'll touch on that. I got a slide on that, so I won't dwell on it here. And, you know, a number of my colleagues ended up working, spending a lot of time playing defense on housing policy. And we'll touch on that. Crystal, I see a head nod there, but they're one-size-fits-all zoning mandates. I think it's hard to have one. So bonding, real quick. So we've got an infrastructure project going on there. Flip past that title slide. Some of the 2025 bonding bill outcomes. Some of the key outcomes for Greater Minnesota in particular. First, the total package was about $773 million from all sources. So all sources means there's some cash mixed in there. Most of it is made up of state general obligation bonds. So when you hear the size of the bonding bill, people are talking about, sometimes they're talking about all in, sometimes they're talking about just the GO bonds. But you can hear the same thing referred to, and they'll say it three different ways, and they're all right. But all sources, $773 million. For the PFA, or Public Facilities Authority, which helps fund through, you know, grants and low-interest loans, water and wastewater projects throughout Greater Minnesota, well, throughout the whole state, but have a deep impact on Greater Minnesota in particular. $176 million for the work that they do, including a new program for emerging contaminants. So that program, I think, is still developing, but as we've got more and more of our Greater Minnesota communities dealing with contaminants that might be more newly identified or haven't historically been regulated in the same way, things like manganese, where there's, you know, health concerns or that have been identified, but you know, might not have previously helped you score higher for infrastructure dollars. That's where that program is kind of pointing to. Local bridges and local roads, those are grant programs that cities can apply for, get a share of those dollars. If you have local bridge or road programs coming up, $20 million and $42 million, that's another bucket. There's never enough money in, because also local means local, it doesn't mean cities. So when we look at that $20 or $42 million share, that means cities, counties, townships, everybody splits that allocation. So $20 million split not just on the 850 some cities, but also shave off a little share for counties and townships. We need more money in those in those buckets all the time. BDPI is the Business Development Public Infrastructure Program. That's a program that helps, you know, similarly, I think, to what we talked about the city ended up doing with some of the grant dollars through the Coalition Utility Cities update. Helps fund the public infrastructure side of economic development programs. So often we think about this as an employer that was founded in one of our Greater Minnesota communities wants to stay here, but in order to stay here and hire some new employees, they want to expand. But you know, maybe in order to do that or enable them to do that, the city would take on some costs to extend a frontage road, extend a water main, help them build a new facility or have some infrastructure impact to that, and that program helps fund up to 50% of that with some certain caps on it. So, and then on the Public Facilities Authority, the subject, so, that was the bonding bill. I think, we'll keep moving through, if I just take questions at the end. Yeah.
Might as well.
All right, well, then let's move on to housing. This one can be a hot topic. It says debate over housing continues. Really what we're talking about is it continues from the previous session, from the 2024 session into 2025. And what we saw is introduction of a package or packages of housing bills that focus on, I think the goal is to expand availability and affordability of housing, but a number of housing advocates and a number of legislators too have centered around the answer to our housing challenges being top-down requirements or restricting the authority of cities in your ability to do your land use, zoning, and planning processes. So what we've seen there is efforts to create more housing, increasing density on single-family lots. So I think restricting the ability of cities to zone single-family in certain ways, require multifamily and commercial zones, parking reform, often parking reform in our quotation marks there means restricting the ability of cities to set parking minimums. So when a new, sometimes here in the case of housing projects, but also in the case of sometimes commercial projects too, sometimes cities say, well, if you're going to have a facility that size, a multifamily unit that size, you need to have a parking lot that accommodates at least these many cars. What the state legislation would have done is from the top down, states say, well, cities, you can't do that. Or you can do that but only up to certain levels, so place caps on your authority. Some versions of these bills would limit cities' abilities to have any kind of aesthetic mandates or materials requirements. And then there's a broad category of HOA reforms here too that maybe risk getting out over my skis if I got into those too much. But I think some that was very concerning to us from just the standpoint of local control, ensuring that our cities have the best and broadest ability to determine your own future. I think that we would all say too, even the advocates that support these, many of them are well-meaning, but they want to get to where their goals are by taking control away from our local decision makers. So slide 2 on that is the kind of mounted resistance from cities. Lots of committee hearings. These bills underwent many committee hearings and many committees in both the House and the Senate, but were so controversial between local governments and the advocates and certain legislators that neither of them managed to reach the House or Senate floor. So that I don't want that to sound though like that means cities have won. That your local authorities are safe and there won't be any kind of preemption bills coming for you. There definitely will, including here just anecdotally, while nothing's ever dead at the legislature, even after some of these bills failed in committee, late in the session there were still efforts to revive them, still efforts to reach compromise, and I think there will be a healthy discussion about what are some of the things if some of these proposals or aspects of these proposals gain bipartisan support. What are some of the things cities might be able to live with in order to prevent worse consequences? So there might be a little negotiating that goes back and forth here too. But not a lot of that happened. Compromise happened in time to pass in 2025, so that really becomes sets the stage for just a couple weeks from now when the legislature goes back into session. I feel like maybe I'll pause there since that's my backward-looking thing. There's a little forward-looking in that, but maybe I'll pause there because now we have some looking ahead slides. It feels like I've talked a lot. I want to see if there's any questions.
We have anything?
All right, let's please.
Continue moving.
All right, so I inserted this, this is not a slide that I made, this is made by Minnesota Management and Budget, but I think it does both a good and a confusing job of conveying what's going on with the state budget. So if you look at the fiscal years 24-25, closing balance 4.8 million, that I think is interesting to note because it's not obvious from the slide, but when we say we had a $17 billion surplus and we spent it all, that's what that is still showing. Is how did we end that biennium? And it is true, we ended that biennium with a $4.8 billion surplus. And I think, this is one of those areas where you could say, had that surplus, we spent every dime of it, and you would be right. And someone could look right back at you and say, well, no, we didn't, we've got money in the bank, and they would be right. So, but really what happened was, you know, a little of both. The legislature did leave money on the bottom line, and we had some higher than expected tax collections during that time period. But I think it's safe to say that the only reason they were able to leave money on the bottom line is because they raised a number of taxes and fees in that same session that they did all that spending. Where you really see, this is where we come to fiscal 26, 27, that's where we're sitting today, is this starts to get interesting because you say, well, what happened to that $4.8 billion surplus we have? Well, this, revenue minus spending, they kind of tab that structural imbalance. And that's the state's way of saying we spend more than we take in. And so this was money in the bank that we're carrying forward, but this is the state's way of saying, you know what, if we did nothing today, if we just kept collecting and spending as we do, eventually we're going to be down here. And so that's, I think, another way, and this is where I say everybody can be right, but only in the short term, is if someone told you today, well, the state has a surplus, they'd be right. Yeah, but if somebody looked right back at them and said, well, no, the state has a huge budget problem. This is terrible. We've got a deficit. Well, they're also right, just maybe not yet. Because the truth is, we are still positive, but if the state doesn't do anything to rein in or correct its spending versus revenues, we're going to be looking at a pretty substantial deficit right when we wake up in the next budget session. So why that's interesting now is that the state technically this year doesn't have to do anything. The legislature. So the budget is balanced in the 2-year window. Where it falls off the cliff is outside of that. So if everything breaks down and they get in a fight and don't do anything, they all come home, don't pass any bills, that'll be fine. The state's budget is still constitutionally balanced because they balanced it in that 2-year window. But they'll be leaving themselves or whoever comes after them a mess that they'll have to clean up in 2027. So I know that state budget stuff can get a little mystifying. I think that's a helpful way to look at it, or at least understand, you know, what's going on now. When I hear someone say they don't have to do anything, but, you know, we've got a deficit, how does that work? So what does that also mean, though? I've got this one, it says 2026, lots of uncertainty. And that's the number one bullet point there, is just the short-term state budget surplus, the structural deficit moving is a huge factor. I think that'll be in the front of legislators' minds this year that want to get ahead of that. We've also got a number of things external to the legislature, or things that have happened since they were in session last, including you know, Melissa Hortman was shot and killed shortly after, about a week after the last legislative session ended. A lot of legislators, and maybe as you talk to them heading into session, that's weighing on them heavily, because it feels like a long time ago, I think, for me even, but they've not been in session in the chamber without her. So I think even personally they're feeling a lot of the weight of that. And there's a couple bullet points that kind of nod to this. Minnesota's kind of become the center of the universe when it comes to the federal government, but federal immigration enforcement surge, including you know, some of it related to that, some of it related to other topics of the discussion, threats from the federal administration to either freeze funding or pause funding that's or cancel funding that's coming to Minnesota. What is that going to mean? How many of those threats are real? How many of them are immediate? That'll be on legislators' minds, or some of their buckets that they were counting on that, you know, bolster that forecast that aren't going to come through if they were propped up by the federal government. And then when you come to visit your legislators at the Capitol, there's a couple things that'll make it more difficult, like the state office building where all the House members' office is still torn up under construction. They're all in temporary office space over in the Centennial building. I don't know if you went there last year, Crystal, but it's a pain. They're much harder to access. This is where I'll start to wind down. I can kind of leave this behind. But this is, I think, some interesting numbers on just how many legislators are going to be retiring. 20 have announced the intent to retire. 5 House members are seeking a chance to move to the Senate. And 11 legislators have announced they're running for something else. One's running for county commissioner. 2 are running for governor. Few are running for U.S. Congress. It means they, in all likelihood, won't be back in the State House next year. So we'll have a lot of new faces. But what do we need in 2026? Well, I think, as I mentioned, you know, Minnesota's been in the spotlight for a lot of reasons. But from a greater Minnesota City standpoint, part of our message is that means the legislature needs to help us focus on the nuts and bolts of government. And that infrastructure projects moving throughout the state, and otherwise do no harm. You know, stay away from LGA cuts. In fact, let's start talking about what LGA should look like the next 5 years to support our communities. And understanding that the state has a tough budget ahead, that we still need the state and local partnership to be strong. And, you know, make progress on issues disproportionately impacting greater Minnesota, so some of those economic development programs that I'm just flying over without getting into the details of. EMS funding, a number of emergency medical services license holders are struggling throughout greater Minnesota in particular. Water and wastewater infrastructure, lead line identification and replacement, all these things that are still bread and butter for a number of our communities that we can continue to work on, make progress on, and move forward. So here's my final pitch, is just what do we have you guys doing next? Well, I think next is join us for Legislative Action Day. That's when you can come to the Capitol. And then a special plug too for the summer conference next summer in New Ulm. I think we've had the closest we come to you guys sometimes is the fall conferences have been in Wilmer. So that's maybe your shortest drive, but we don't have one of those on the books in Wilmer for a little while. So New Ulm's going to be a good one, because the last summer conference was Grand Rapids, so this is a much shorter drive. So anyway, we'll leave it there. I really appreciate all your time. Let me blaze through both of these organizations here, cover a lot in a short time. And with that, I'll stop.
Okay. Anybody have anything for Shane? Okay, well, thank you very much. I mean, you went through a lot in a short time and explained it very, very well, so we appreciate everything you do and continue to do for us down there, and yeah.
Well,
Make it interesting.
To the city, if I could say, so I know I didn't mention this, but Mayor Smigluski was a past president of the Coalition of Greater Minnesota Cities, you know, long time involved. Our partnership with the city has been fantastic. And,
Yep.
you know, it's one of those where, you know, the stories that we hear from you all is how we really do this stuff at the legislature. So we can't do it without you. Crystal's been a huge asset with a lot of the information that comes back from the ground on some of these Coalition of Utility Cities programs, and other staff from the city over the years too, I think, as well. So thank you.
Thanks, Shane.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Okay, we'll
Thank you.
back
Safe
up.
drive back.
Yes, thank you.
We'll back up here to 7B here, and we'll take Jeremy and hear about the fire department's yearly update. Welcome, Jeremy.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Put some hands up here.
Okay.
Take one and pass it around. So the good news is I'm not here to ask you for any money.
We were gonna give you.
2025 for the fire department was a good year. We had a pretty busy year. Some of the calls were pretty interesting. So I'll start with, we had 73 calls for 2025. It's a little bit, last year we were low, so this is a little bit back more to our average. So, but it felt a little busy because it was kind of congested into 7 or 8 months. 3 new hires, Colton Anderson, who's already a city employee, we have Tyler Fisher. Support us, and Grant Wall, yes, and he's a great resource to have. Calls revolve around some of those things. Training highlights, we always do officer training throughout the year. This year we had 7 guys, that's a little higher than normally, which is good to see. It's nice to see that we have younger guys showing some interest in stepping up, so taking some of the training. Guys that are just so that was Tyler Knudsen, Alvin Howell, Nathan Stewart, Nick Lund, Logan Schmidt, Doug Ramirez, and myself. The three probationary firefighters, they're working to complete their firefighter 1 and firefighter 2 certification. They're taking classes in Montevideo. They're about halfway through that training right now. And then, just to note, we continue to use our burn trailer several times a year. So we know that we have that container behind it, what we call our station 2, the building on underground. We set up to provide. It's nice to have that resource because process of burn is pretty tough in environmental concerns, and just not around anymore. Keeps us in good training for that. Purchase highlights, a little bit of an update on the pumper truck in Engine 1814 that we committed to last year. The pre-engineering construction is set for February of 2027. That's when we go out to the factory and start talking about the engineering aspects of the vehicle. And final delivery is anticipated right now. That is of note, that's 6 months sooner than they told us originally made the purchase. So I don't know if there's any hope for that to move up anymore, but they added some capacity to their reducing those delivery schedules. Item 5, the other firefighting commitments, fundraisers and the committee. I brought that up last year just to note for the council to see all of the extra things that we do. I won't do them again this year. I've already heard that speech once, but I just want to make a point of responding to fire calls isn't anything that we do. We have quite a bit of other duties down there. That, are there any questions?
Very good, Jeremy. Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Yeah. Anybody have any questions for Jeremy on anything? Okay, very well done. Thank you. Yeah.
Jeremy.
Okay, we'll wrap around, go back up to the top here, 5A Utility Commission.
One thing I wanted to point out to council, so, at our last meeting, we talked about the improvements on 167. So I did contact the Greater Minnesota Parks and Trails Commission inquiring about the utilities, if it would be grant eligible. And the good news is it is. However, it needs to be included in an updated version of the Park Master Plan. It's currently not part of our Park Master Plan. So I will work with Damon Farber, if council's okay with it, just update the plan. We gotta upload it in a portal and do a couple of other things, and then they go through a process where they approve the updated plan. And we want that in place before we, of course, apply for grant funding, because it needs to be as part of that approved plan. But the good news is it is covered as grant funding, as well as the sidewalk portion, that would be the city's responsibility. So depending, if we want to replace the utilities, or, maybe a well or sewer, we can still talk about all the options. But it is grant eligible,
Excellent.
so. Good news.
Okay, very good. Anything else there?
Nope, just
Okay.
note, again, anyone opposed, I'm gonna move forward updating the master plan, is that, okay.
Anybody wants
Nope.
to take it over from you?
Well, no, just making sure it's okay, because there will be some costs a little bit incurred from Damon Farber to help assist with that process,
Yeah,
so.
please do, appreciate it. And then we'll go to 6A, we got the dog park event, looking like they're gonna have a ribbon cutting.
Yeah, this is the, I guess, the official, opening event for the dog park. Looking to hold an event on the 28th from 5 to 7, have a food vendor, a welcome speech, maybe some pet selling related items from vendors. The artist that completed the bench will be there and also talk about her artwork. Very much want to invite council members to this event as well. If council members want to say anything or be part of the ribbon cutting portion, just let me know. But otherwise, looking for approval to hold the event.
Okay, looking for a motion on that.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thanks. Any other discussion? All those in favor of May 28th, have a ribbon cutting to officially open the dog park, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, thank you. Now we'll go down to the resolutions. We got Lemar Ranch Equine annual donation we've done for a handful of years here. Looks like they're looking for $1,000 donation.
Yep, that's just traditionally what the
Yeah.
city has done.
It's always been a budgeted item, and I think it does a lot for the community and things, and, you know, looking to continue to support that if we wish.
So moved. $1,000.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. Airport master plan.
All right, so everyone does have a handout. I also have it up on the screen, whichever's easier. We'll start with on the west side and even to back up. We spent a lot of time going over master plan. This is again, the future growth of infrastructure and building out our airport. I will say it's a very ambitious plan, but you gotta start somewhere and have that goal. And, you know, the master plan that was actually completed, that we're currently under, we have completed everything, under that plan, so. So starting out on the west side here, the blue, new pavement, new road leading up to the runway there. The green reflects, new hangar. Note that kind of going to the south, and if you could see my cursor, even if it helps on the screen there, there's 3 of them that would still be on city property. However, if you go out further west, it would result in acquiring additional property. And then we also have behind our more newly constructed T-hanger facility, plans for future growth of T-hangers if it's so desired in the future. So.
Is that future growth of T-hangers on city property?
That's on
or-
city property. It's
It
kind of
is.
hard to see, but it's this black dotted kind
Okay.
of line right here.
Yep,
That's the marker of city property.
Okay.
And then it kind of goes down south there, so it's a little
Okay.
difficult to see. But the T-hangers would be on city property, and there'd be roughly 3 hangars that we could grow yet and be on city property. Dwayne, Scott, anything to add to that, or?
No, they did a good job.
Okay. Then I'm gonna switch over to the east side. So again, more growth of hangars. The area that's kind of blocked out here, that was with conversations with Ron and Fagan Museum to keep that space open for any possible future growth. The challenge with this side is the further south you go, there is some significant drops in land topography. So that's why our focus consists more of the building there up to the northern side. And again, I mean, it's close, it'd be right up to, I mean, minus the one that dips more south, but it would be right up to the property line. And so depending on how that would all be formally designed and how that shakes out, we may need to acquire some additional property on this side as well. Steve, Dwayne, or excuse me, Scott, Dwayne, any more to-
No.
Okay. Any questions on that, or? The commission did include this as well, so moving on to our, maybe possibly a future official, recognized turf runway. The likelihood of this happening is, I think, rare, especially given that the county road there to the right would have to be abandoned as part of this and meeting all the requirements. But it is something the commission wanted to at least look into and have a plan and explore the option. If factors change in the future, maybe it's something that we can move forward with. At this time, it's not something the commission, I think, is looking to strongly pursue. But it is there.
That would lay right on top of the road, basically, or right to the,
Yeah, the clearance part on the far east there, because you have to
Okay.
have so much clearance, so the road would be more so in the way of the clearance portion.
Okay.
Again, it's very, very unlikely this is
Yep.
going to formally happen.
Right.
But it was an idea that the commission wanted to at least explore, have in the plan. Doesn't hurt anything to have it in the plan. It doesn't deduct points or add points either way. And again, that was partly the whole point in updating the master plan, because as we continue to apply for state grant funding, we do need to have an updated master plan. The more updated your plan, the more points you score with the grant application process. So this isn't
Okay.
something council has to approve tonight either. If everyone wants to kind of digest it or have some time, can certainly do that, or if everyone's comfortable, looking for approval.
It's really a wish list, you know, and
Right.
it's, I don't think we have, you know, people clamoring for more hangars, more T-hangars, things like that, but, you know, could happen, and we have to have a plan for that if we want to keep receiving funding. I think the big thing is that we're needing to get done is the apron expansion and the taxiways, which would, you know, that would definitely be a, if you build it, they will come kind of thing.
Yeah, and just a refresher here too, the current grant we're on, again, is updating the LED lighting on the
Yeah.
the runway, and essentially, unfortunately, we have some lights that are wires melting and lights melting, and it's just very aged infrastructure, and the plan is to, bid that out, and then split it into 2 phases, because again, we had a cost increase that was unanticipated with parts concerning the lighting components with that project.
that's priority one.
That's what we're working on right now.
Okay,
The commission hasn't discussed in depth, I would say, beyond that. We do have a capital plan with some items listed there, but the commission hasn't formally said that after this project, this is our next project we want to work on.
okay. Okay. Interesting, so tonight we're looking to approve,
Yep, just formally adopt the plan.
Yeah.
And then Bolton and Mink will send it off to the state.
okay? Anybody have any questions? Would anybody like to formally approve the airport master plan?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Second? Is there a second?
I guess I'll second it.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Dwayne. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, opposed? All right, thank you.
And one thing I just want to add with this plan, is not set in stone. So as we move forward and things change, we can modify this plan. So if you
Oh.
think of any questions.
It's changed so much just in the last 20 years. There was whole other runways and things like that when we thought we were gonna get NIPIAS funding, and it's, you know, it's,
Yep.
So if anyone does have questions or think of anything to add or change, just let me know.
Okay. Then we'll move on here to 6B4, or 6B3, the ASME contract.
So happy to share, we have settled with AFSMI. Enclosed in the council packet is a red line contract to show the changes directly to the contract, as well as we are continuing like we did with LELS to continue with the MOA regarding ESST time. A number of these things are similar to, of course, what we did with LELS. Insurance did change a little bit, and that has since been proposed to LELS, and they have accepted that insurance difference, as well as dental was removed from the LELS contract as a result of the higher HSA contribution. I guess I won't read all of this, but if anyone has a question on anything in particular, or hopefully everyone had a chance to glance through it. I mean, myself, Steve, or Dwayne are happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, if anybody's got any questions at any time, just ask or give me a call or contact Dwayne or Crystal. I gotta say, we have spent a lot of time negotiating with the unions this year. And, we're just finally getting them wrapped up, and, it's, been time consuming, and it's getting tougher each negotiation, you know, we do it every 3 years, and it's, getting tough. But we feel good about this, and, yeah, I'd like to propose, and hopefully it gets approved. Anybody have any questions? Maybe looking for motion to approve the ASME contract.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thanks. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed. Okay, next we have another scholarship. It's a YME scholarship. We've been doing this one for 23 years.
Yeah, and then
Yeah,
just
go
note, the council did increase it from 1,000 to 2,000 last year, so I did put the same in for this year to continue that 2,000.
Yep. And it goes out to 4 different students, and either the student or the parent or legal guardian needs to be a current customer of our utilities. And like I say, it is a budgeted item, so, and I think it's very well appreciated up there. And,
I so move that we do that again.
thank you. Is there a second? I'll second. Thanks.
I abstain.
One abstain. Okay, any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye? Opposed? Okay. Now we got the Vera lease agreement amendment.
So this is coming back before council. The board had additional conversations and would like to see a couple of edit changes to the amendment, including the continued use of parking spaces located on 4th Street, and just verifying that in the event that the garage does not get moved, that there's an understanding that the hospital will be able to continue to have access to the garage. And, you know, of course, these edits are not, you know, any concern at the moment, but more so, you know, 10 years down the line, or if there's changeover in staff and council, just so everybody has that understanding.
Does this have, or is this coming into play because the EDA may be building some patio homes up that way?
Yep, that's exactly what it is.
You know,
So-
is what's driving this?
Yep,
You know, and the parking on 4th Street, I'm assuming they're trying to cover their employee parking in case one of the residents doesn't
correct.
care for parking in front of their
Correct.
house.
And Tom did note, at most typically it's like 3 vehicles, 4. We're not talking, you know, a lot of
No.
parking.
Just so we can't restrict parking on a public street is what they're
Correct.
looking for, I'm sure.
Correct.
Did this go past the EDA, and what did they say if it did, or what was their feelings, or?
EDA's fine with this.
Okay.
And I'm assuming the local board
Yeah, we discussed it.
approved it.
Yeah, like you said, their main concern was the garage, getting access to the garage, so. I think that's an issue.
No,
No.
no, I don't think it is either, you know, it's just, yeah.
Yeah.
But I get it.
Just wanting some assurance.
I get it.
guess.
Any questions? Okay, would anybody like to pass this motion? To add this to the, amend this to the current lease agreement?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Is there a second? Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. Thank you. Now we'll go to number 6, truck purchase for the electrical department.
This would be to replace a 1999 Chevy with a white 1-ton Ram. This is in the capital items budget and did come in under budget utilizing the state bid. Looking for council approval to update the fleet and declare the 1999 Chevy as surplus equipment, and that will go on auction then this summer.
Okay. We did have 65,000 in the capital budget for it, and it looks like through the state, it's be roughly about 43.9, which is awesome.
Yeah, and part of the reason for that gap, of course, is we kept seeing costs and vehicles go up
Yep.
and up and up. So at the time we set the capital items budget, we tried to plan for that, but for once now it's kind of stabilized.
So do we need one resolution here to approve the purchase? And then
It can be done in a single,
single one?
if that's fine, to
Okay.
move forward with the purchase and accept the state bid and declare
And
the,
declare?
the former one as surplus equipment.
Very good.
The former one, is that the old fire truck that we gave to him?
I don't think so.
I'm just wondering if it is, that Chevy, I know it's on their budget, is that something, and it probably still has low miles, is that something that we could utilize in somewhere else's fleet? I don't know if there's anything
What I
wrong
was told,
with it.
there were some mechanical issues.
Oh, is there?
It's at its.
Well, we had
its
it for
life
20
out.
years.
Right, it's a 99.
Yeah. I didn't know what was wrong with it, if it was,
I mean, I would advise council, I can certainly have that conversation with Jade, and update council via maybe like an email, but I would still move forward.
no, that's fine, I just wanted to,
My understanding is
If it's-
it's not good.
all right, I'll make that motion to accept the bid of the new truck and put the one in the surplus.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any other discussion?
Just for good communication, I will still follow up with Jade, and in the event something changes, I can bring it back to council, but I'll provide an update to council, just good communication.
All right. So we'll hear more about that 1999 here in the future. Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, opposed? Okay. Okay, now we got another vehicle, police department, squad car purchase.
Also, the same, traditionally in our capital items, budget, we replace a squad car every 2 years, so this would ultimately be replacing the 2018 squad that is currently in the fleet. Brian did enclose a nice memo explaining some more details on that, along with the state bid amount. So just looking for approval as well.
So move.
Okay,
Second.
we have a motion and a second, okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, opposed? Okay. Multi-animal permit. procedure.
I mentioned this at a prior council meeting about just making updates with this ordinance. So what is proposed in the packet, it's not a formal first reading, it's just simply a red line draft that myself and PD, as well as our city attorney, has reviewed. Just looking for feedback from council if these edits are okay, they make sense, did, I miss anything that council would like to see as part of this process going forward. The goal is to just clean it up, so it's better. Instead of 30 days, and we're rushing with this, we have 60 days. Some clarification on, in the event of these things happen, the permit can be revoked, right? Council has that option, and more streamlining that these permit requests would go before council instead of staff.
Okay,
So if you, council doesn't need to make any motion or action tonight, but just please look it over. If I hear anything, please reach out, or if you think of anything, please reach out to me. Otherwise, for our next council meeting, I will put it in a more formal first reading format.
sure. Sure. So here over the next 10 days or so, if you have any questions or anything, concerns on it, get hold of Crystal.
Let me know.
All right, thank you on that. Now we'll drop down to 7C, we got personnel.
So enclosed is a letter from Brian Struffert. He is retiring. So that is his notice of retirement. So council will need to accept it and declare the position as vacant so we can begin advertising.
So we need to have a motion tonight on that?
Yep.
Looking for a motion tonight to accept Brian's letter of retirement and to give permission to go ahead and advertise the position as vacant.
Effective date, what?
It was.
I know his date's May 31st, but like what day do we want to vacate? Because it'd be nice to have like a left seat, right seat, kind of, where they
Yeah,
job shadow.
so what this does is council should always formally accept it as effective of formally that date. By declaring it as vacant, what it does is essentially kind of protects the city. So if somebody submits a resignation notice and council doesn't officially accept it, and then they change their mind when we're like amid the hiring process, it can cause complications of how that process works, of whether that employee's technically was accepted and no longer gonna be working with the city. So that's why we do this process. If that
No,
helps expands on
that's
it.
fine. I was wondering when are we gonna we're not gonna hire the new person at May 31st, right? We're gonna
No,
hire-
it's for sure, it's a 2-month process, so it's
Okay.
30 days for advertising, then, a couple weeks for interviews, there's probably, depending, it could be a 2-week notice unless it's an internal candidate's background check, those kind of things. With PD, it takes a little longer, cause if it's from an outside person, they do have a psychological exam, a physical exam, drug. So it could be a 2 or 3 month process easily. I do, especially for department heads, if I can, I do want at least a little overlap of,
That's
especially
what I was
bringing a
getting
new
at,
person
yeah.
in. So with Brian and I having conversations, we felt that now was a good time to start the process,
Okay.
just to try to ensure there's a little bit of that
Yeah,
overlap too.
that's, please share.
And no, Brian did share with me, that's not a hard date, truly, if the process takes longer, and there's more time needed with a new person, for example, he's willing to stay longer. It's not a
Okay.
hard set date,
Sounds good. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
But technically, council still has to accept it and declare it.
No, I know. I'm not questioning
Yeah,
that.
nope, just,
I just want to make sure we can.
yep,
Usually try to
Great
get them in here a
question.
good month or whatever.
Yeah. Job shadow a little bit.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yep.
Yep, good point.
yep.
Yep.
And I know Brian would be willing to help the new person, even beyond that with questions. He's not planning to go anywhere,
Yeah.
so.
So then,
I'll make a motion to accept his resignation and open up his job as a vacant.
okay, is there a second?
Second.
Thanks, Scott. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, opposed? Okay. Now we got 7D, it's our add-on. It is just kind of
Just needs to be acknowledged,
acknowledged.
so acknowledged.
Okay, gambling permit for Western Fest Committee. Basically about
raffle.
it, isn't it, for
Yep.
the raffle?
Yep, just
Okay.
their yearly raffle they do.
Okay. Any questions or concerns on that? Okay, then,
I'll make a motion to accept their license for their gambling.
Oh, yeah, we don't need to do a motion, yep, just as so acknowledged. Yep,
okay,
so no,
all right.
no formal action.
Then we'd be looking for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
A second.
There we go.